Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the fifth and most likely final episode of TI Top Up. Just wanted to preempt the finals a little bit, get out ahead of it, and talk about some feelings, some predictions, some analysis going into the final series of TI. Ursi is indisposed, so I have my second pick, Arian, here to join us, A2K.
You know there's three hosts on this podcast, right? I should really be your fourth pick at the earliest.
I mean, yes, but I don't think B would have seen my ping in time to respond.
Okay. Yeah, well, that makes sense. I saw you DM.
So, Arian, how have you been consuming the international?
How have I been consuming the international? So, I've not watched every game, but I've tried to watch the important ones, and then towards the end, like all the ones that I catch. So, for example, today I watched Secret PSG LGD because I think that's the highlight. And then I watched a bit of IG Spirit, but not everything. And I watched almost everything of IG versus Vichy Gaming. My favorite series was for sure PSG versus Secret, though. That one was a banger, especially the second game.
Okay, so if you didn't really see the Spirit game as that important, were you surprised by that outcome? Did you expect Spirit to just take it 2-0 against IG?
I did give them good chances because I think eliminating OG and especially eliminating Virtus Pro, that's pretty impressive, especially for a team like that. So I definitely gave them a chance. I would have slightly favored IG, but not by much. I would have probably predicted IG to win this 2-1 against Spirit.
Okay.
But I'm not shocked that they won this. Because, I mean, if you've been listening to We Like Dota, right? We've been hyping up Team Spirit a decent amount. We always said that they're kind of underrated.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, looking forward, right? If you thought that they were likely going to drop the series 1-2 and they end up 2-0ing, do you think that they have a chance to take out Secret?
I think they do, yeah. Honestly, this may be now me overrating them a bit because Secret has had a very strong showing. Because, they also beat IG in the upper bracket,
yeah.
Just like Team Spirit did in the lower bracket. And I would slightly favor Team Spirit because they have some insane momentum right now. They must be feeling on top of the world, and I think they'll have a very strong mental game in this upcoming series. Because imagine your team, only one, because you know this about Team Spirit, right? Only one of their players have ever played at a TI. The rest is completely new to TI. This is the first TI for 4 of their players. They knock out the defending 2-time champions. They knock out Virtus Pro, who they're always first place in the regional league. Team Spirit, they got 4th place in the first regional league, I believe, and 2nd place in the next one. And historically, VP, for the last 40 matches, they've never beaten VP.
Yeah. They've been the gatekeepers of CIS.
Yeah, pretty much. They're the gatekeepers. And the first time this happens, they defeat the 2-time defending champions. Then they defeat their nemesis of their own region, basically. And then they defeat the champion of the first major, which I and probably many others would have predicted IG as their second favorite going into this tournament.
Yeah.
So I think their momentum is really, really, really strong right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of the game is going to be mentality-based because, if you listen to the interviews with Spirit today after they beat IG, they were talking about how, they're really just a group of 5 friends, and they play games like pubs, and they don't really take it too seriously. I mean, obviously they're playing as best as they can, but they don't have that same sort of organizational strain that comes when you have a full org on your back that requires you to perform to feed 30 staff members' children. But so they if you've been watching, they have not picked the same carry hero twice in the main stage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think most big orgs, they're not directly dependent.
Oh yeah, I know, obviously, but it is an incredibly different mentality.
I definitely get your sentiment, but I think that can also be a negative factor because some RTs, he's always gonna have played at big events. He's used to playing under stress because he carries a big name, has a big org behind him. Team Spirit, I think they're not used to the pressure. I think part of what made them fail or at the Animator was not a lack of talent or lack of executional ability, but just, kind of crumbling under pressure a bit. Except that best of one at the Animator. That was pretty cool.
I mean, I just think like that if you listen to them talk, they avoid pressure in an entirely different way from like any other team I've ever seen, right? Because if you think about what makes a team like immune to pressure, so much of the time it's like you've said, they have a name behind them. They have previous results. They know that they're good at the game, so they don't need to prove themselves in every single moment, right? Like that's what an Arteezy
Yeah,
is.
I agree. I mean, I get what you're saying because they're already like probably like 4 rounds past where people would have predicted them dropping out, right? So they're already way farther than they could be. But now, like, they're top 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
They only have to win 2 series to get like be set for life, basically.
Yeah.
And I think even though they don't have that much experience playing under pressure and they're a bit more, used to taking things easy, the amount of money and the gravity of the situation, it will get to them. They won't be immune from that.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, I don't think that. Well, PSG might be immune from that just because they've been so convincing in every game. But like, I think Secret's going to be facing that same amount of pressure, if not more, because they're coming into this as like off the coattails of a pretty convincing 2-0 from PSG. So like, knowing that you have to beat these guys who are on like. They're on the famous losers bracket run, right? Like they are whatever it is, like TI9 Liquid, or maybe that was TI8.
Yeah.
But like, they're the ones with the story. They have all the momentum. And even if you beat these guys, you have to try and take 3 games off of the people who sort of crushed you in upper bracket. Like, I feel like they're going to be as pressured, if not more.
Yeah, I think Team Secret probably will be coming into this tournament like from a mental disadvantage, but there's things like experience and tactical stuff that we're not factoring in.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So
yeah. I mean, I slightly favor Team Spirit, as I said. Maybe I'm just on the hype train, but I just have an inkling.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's pretty good reason to be on the hype train. At this point, it's hard to imagine that it'd be any sort of like a fluke. If I'm expecting their like luck to run out or like their hot streak to end, it's not going to be in this series. It's going to be against PSG, right? Because
and
they're in basically the same situation now as they were previous game.
Tomorrow's a new day, right? And the teams might, one of the players might stand up. Do you have that saying in America? Stand up with your left foot, like getting out of your bed with your left foot.
Oh yeah, getting off on the wrong foot.
Getting off on the wrong foot, yeah. So I think Team Spirit ceiling is higher than Team Secret's because I think they're more gifted mechanically, some of their players, than Team Secret's players. But I think Team Secret has a higher average level of play. So it really will come down to just, I'll say, day-to-day form, basically.
Mm-hmm. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like I think if we took the Spirit that played today and the Secret that played today and placed them against each other, I'd feel pretty confident saying Spirit would win, just because
yes,
Spirit's still riding high. So they're still on their like best play, right? It's just a question of can they keep that going. And I think actually, I mean, even if they do win, I think it's incredibly unlikely PSG LGD loses because I don't think these players would have the endurance, especially if they go 2-1 with Secret. They'd be playing potentially 8 games in one day. Like, I don't think that's something you can do without heavy tournament experience.
I think Spirit has better because they're these types of Eastern European players who like play 18 hours a day or something like that. Not literally 18 hours, but shockingly close to that, right? So I think Team Spirit, they are players because they're still that younger, right? Like these players are still players who grind ranked for 6 hours every day. Players like Kuroki or Puppy, they most of the time don't even play ranked, which is kind of incredible if you think about it, but still. So I think they're more used to just, chain queuing games and pumping out 8 games in a row. And I think that in a sense translates to this situation as well. However, I do agree. I think PSG LGD, no matter who reaches this final, is the heavy favorite.
Yeah, I'd be really, really impressed if either team could take it off them.
For sure.
So yeah, I think I'd agree with you that Spirit is the maybe slight favorite going into the next series. My reasoning behind this is that I have over the games that I've seen, and I haven't seen every game, right? I have stupid U.S. time zones.
Yeah.
The grand final is going to be starting at 5 a.m. my time. But, I've gotten the sense that I've gotten from these last three teams is that they are all sort of like different types of teams. Like they have different plans for how they want to win the game, right? And so I feel like this sort of like structure, this framework is useful to try and apply onto a lot of the teams we've seen in TI because, every team comes into the game with a plan for how they want to win the game and like a way of playing that works for them, right? So I think it can be useful to try and look at really what makes a team tick. And I think the first thing that almost everybody I think would agree on is that PSG LGD is just like probably the most mechanically skilled team in the whole tournament by possibly a large margin. They just sort of like can cleanly out execute any player and any team in a team fight really.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it goes beyond that. I think their tactics are almost immaculate, but their strategy as well. The team they played against Secret, I would recommend everybody who hasn't watched this to watch Game 2 of Secret versus LGD today. Because Secret, at minute 30, they get a Roche fight that's really huge. They win a fight against PSG LGD, and they actually get a substantial lead. Over the span of 20 minutes, they further the lead from like 3K to 19K. And it still felt impossible for them to get a second Rags besides the one that they got earlier. Because PSG LGD, even though they had, 19K more or less gold overall, it felt like if Secret tried to take a team fight against them, PSG LGD would still win just because they have superior execution. And then they ended up turning that 20k gold advantage in 2 minutes of fighting.
Yeah.
And just won the game. It's crazy, like, the amount of resilience that team has and the amount of, strength in different, sectors of Dota they have. In German, we would call this formvollendet, which kind of means... it's like a sculpture who's done with a marble sculpture, and it's basically perfect. You would call it formvollendet. So it's like in perfect form, and they kind of combine a lot of different aspects of it. And I'm sure in 2 years we're gonna look back in PSG LGD and be like, all right, these would be like 4K players now. Like it happens with the power creep in Dota. But right now they're pretty close to the like ceiling. I think what you can do with Dota because they strain the constraints of the engine, basically, this is what they're basically doing. For example, with the tiny strat they ran today, like they look at the biggest multiplicators that you can get in Dota, and then they run like Liney Tyler. But yeah, they're very good to watch.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I think it's good that you mentioned strategy because before I saw the PSG LGD Team Secret game, I was thinking like Team Secret are like the strategists of the tournament, right? The very first game they play in main stage, they basically crush OG, a lot in part because I think they had a soul read on how they wanted to play the game, and they were just able to draft and then play the map in ways that completely shut everything down and gave OG just like no way to play the game they wanted to, right? And then they basically replicated that in their second series against IG. I felt like both of those series were like concept wins, right? Conceptual wins. Like they just out prepared for their opponent. You might have heard something drop there, but they out prepared for their opponent. And then, they come up against PSG LGD and there's basically nothing you can do because even though they may be able to figure out what PSG LGD likes to do, right? And they may be able to come up with some strategy that should interact better. Like you cannot stop LGD from playing the way they want to play. Like they're just too good.
No. And there's one big reason for that, and that's because it sounds so dumb, right? But they're a team that makes almost no mistakes. They're very good at minimizing the amount of overextensions because, like, even though they're an insanely good team, they rarely ever get cocky. Unless they pull an insane move like the Arteezy cliffing, then they'll drop something. But generally, in the way they play, they don't get cocky. So they make, they almost make no mistakes, which, you have to know the game very well to be that good.
Yeah, and so I'd say, I consider LGD to be a team that wins by, grinding their opponent out, playing cleanly and everything. I'd consider Secret to be a team that works off of identifying like single point weaknesses and abusing that and jumping on that. And I think you could see that in the game they were playing against PSG LGD, how they were trying to do that. Like, even in that fight that you mentioned that LGD turns, well, I guess actually it might have been the fight before or after that where Secret was going up high ground, right? Like, you can see that
they try to jump the Bane.
The way they start is Matu jumps one person, tries to like take out the Winkling as fast as possible. I think they're actually jumping onto like a Legion or something. And, you know, like, their strategy is, we see this weak link, we're going to tear this apart and then take the rest of the fight after that. But they try to do that to PSG, and the Legion, like, I'm pretty sure instantly goes sceptered. Like, possibly even within, like, 0.2 seconds. Like, it was kind of incredible.
Yeah.
I watched it back multiple times, and I had no clue how the guy was able to react in time. But that, like, clean level of mechanical skill means that all of a sudden Secret's plans don't mean anything because there is not a weak link on PSG, right?
Yep, exactly. And their communication must be top notch because their teamfight execution. I'm sure everybody's seen the clip at this point of the, Elder Titan stomp into Boundless Strike with the aura.
The Elder Titan blinks in to get the minus armor part because the minus armor part only follows the hero, and then Boundless Strike hits with basically full damage.
It was insane combo, and you need to like in the heat of a moment to be, to win a team fight like that with those beautiful combos. It takes a lot of communication.
After you're the ones getting jumped on too.
Exactly, and as I said, to circle back to the point that I made about not committing mistakes, I don't think there's another team, not even Team Spirit, that can chill while being 20k behind on Team Spirit, on Team Secret, and the only reason they survive that long is because they make almost no mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I 100% agree. And so then moving into Team Spirit, I think Team Spirit's one of these class of, like, LGD's kind of stereotypical China game, right? They play cleanly, they execute cleanly, they're solid, right? That is the stereotype that's been with China for probably past, like, 4 years, maybe ever. I think Spirit embodies a lot of the same Russian stereotypes, or I guess it's Eastern European now. But, it's incredibly aggressive play, it's, like, pushing limits. And I think the thing that's really set them apart is they've somehow been able to just meld together as a team to the point where, they no longer really have moves that don't work. Like, I feel like they've just been playing the past 3 series in some, like, flow state where they just, like, intuitively sense what the right move is. Like, I'm not sure if you saw this moment in the Spirit versus IG game, but in game 2, the Drow got, like, killed in lane 3 times, right? And so she was level 5 when the enemy Lina mid was level 9. And she TP'd mid and ganked and got a kill and basically like flipped the whole game just by doing that. And that's the sort of move that like I'm not sure PSG could come up with, right? Like it's too outside of the bounds of reality to,
expect that to work.
And I think that like if Spirit wins, I think they will. If Spirit wins against Secret, and even against LGD, it'll be because they're making these moves that are like nearly unpredictable, but they somehow like force it to work because they're just so like united as a team.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with your generalizations about Team Secret, especially. I think it's definitely correct that they're more team focused on what the enemy team is doing wrong than what they're doing right or what their strengths are, right? They're more akin to find a weakness in the enemy than to find their own strengths. Kind of the polar opposite to OG. I think PSG, LGD, they're simply better at most aspects of Dota than almost every team at TI. I don't think you can narrow it down to like, oh, they're so good at this and this. But I think this has been done to CIS teams for a long time now. And I'm not even sure if I would agree with generalizing like, because a lot of people just say, oh, like CIS teams, they play this aggressive style. And they don't really describe what that means. I don't think that Spirit has gotten to this point by playing the classic, the quote-unquote, like, I don't even think that's, like, that much of a CIS style. By playing the quote-unquote classic aggressive CIS style. That style alone doesn't get you to the position that Spirit is in right now. I think when Spirit wants to play not aggressive, they can be very good at playing defensive Dota and just trying to stall the game out. We can harken back to the Animajor game against Team Liquid, where there was like a crazy long game where they held high ground for, I want to say, like 30 minutes or something, being down infinity gold, just because they're great at playing defensively. So I don't think you can narrow Team Spirit down to just playing aggressively. I think their aggression, when it's well placed, is definitely one of their strengths, because they're very good at initiation. But I think they have, other fortes as well. Not just like, they're aggressive.
Yeah, no, I'd say like, I think Team Spirit in the group stages was, like just sort of classically aggressive. And I think VP was just classically aggressive. And, we saw where that got them, right? Like, they had some good results.
Yeah, not amazing performances. Right. I mean, they were both upper bracket, which for VP, it's expected. For Spirit, it's pretty decent.
No, yeah, so definitely. I mean, like, Spirit, the thing that I kept hearing throughout the group stages when the like panel would talk about them is Spirit's the team that can like take games off of anybody. It's just whether or not they're actually going to like come together. And I think that's a hallmark of just the like classic aggressive play is like some of your moves, some games your moves are going to catch the opponent off guard, and some moves they're not, right? I think VP never really got above that style of play, and Spirit was able to just like transcend that and go to the next level where like they are able to maintain the opportunities of aggression without constantly putting themselves at the same risks, right? So they can gain a lot of the benefits of, pushing their opponents off guard, taking the really big wins when they come without the sometimes being punished by overextending, right? Like, I mean, there's a reason why Yatoro is the only player to ever get 2 rampages in the same TI.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment. I would also say that similarly to how Team Secret and Team Spirit compare, I would probably say that VP is similar to Team Secret in having a higher average play but a lower ceiling than Team Spirit. And I don't know yet where Team Spirit's ceiling is, right? And that's scary for the other 2 teams. I'm not sure if it's that scary for PSG LGD, but it's definitely very scary for Team Secret.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Secret really is like the one. I mean, in every sense of the word, that feels threatened, right? Like they're the old guard. Like it's fucking Puppy's team, man. Like they've been in this thing for a really long time. And
I mean, he's the captain of the team that most Dota captains of successful EU teams were a part of.
Yeah,
so he's like the original guy of the original guys.
So it's like, and they see this new blood coming up. Like they seem to have really good like fight execution skill, I guess I'd say.
And they're not stubborn. Puppy's, many people say this, Puppy's biggest weakness is that sometimes he's stubborn. There's a saying that's going on right now, if your idea on Dota is wrong, you lose. If your idea is right, you win. And Puppy is pretty susceptible to sticking to a wrong idea because he's so convinced. Similarly to Kuro, I would say.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's why a lot of OG's failures happened, right? Like,
they're very stubborn as well.
And it's sort of a sign of, I don't know how old PSG is as a team, but I feel like a lot of the teams that we think of as being like classic big names had issues because they were unable to adapt when their ideas were proven wrong.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And to PSG, I don't know like a huge amount about the Chinese, scene, about like all the long lore that's behind their players, just like the EU players. But like they're a mix of new and old players. There are 3 new players, obviously nothing to say, who I think is still rank 1 in the world right now.
Might have fallen because he hasn't been able to play pubs.
Yeah, probably. Then Ame, who's obviously like the legacy superstar in China for the past, I don't know, 5 to 6 years or something. He's been playing on like he's like the Arteezy of LGD, right? The TI7 squad, was it TI7? No, sorry, the TI8 squad was built around him. This squad is built around him. They built every squad around him. Everybody at PSG LGD may leave except Ame. And then it's Jin-Q, who he's like the dark horse. I've never heard of him before this. I've heard of all the players, but I haven't heard of him. So I can't say much about him because I haven't heard much about him. But 2 players on PSG LGD, they would, if they win this, become the second 2-timers, or the second league, I guess, of 2-timers behind the OG boys, because they've won TI 6 with Wings Gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, they're a mix of old guard and new guard, which, may give you some advantages as well, combining some of the advantages and disadvantages of being the old and new guard.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, regardless of how, they're just, like, on another level.
Yes, currently. But I don't think this is, like, done deal for PSG LGD. I think it's pretty close to a done deal, don't get me wrong, but I think if they don't bring their A game, they might crumble. They've crumbled one time in the TI final that they kind of had. So it may happen again. So, who knows what might happen. It's similar to Secret and Spirit, maybe one team gets off on the wrong foot and one team gets off of the right foot. They lose first game, they get tilted, and that can change history. Yeah,
I mean, I think one prediction I'd feel confident making is if Spirit loses game 1 versus Secret, I think they're probably out. Just because so much of their success currently, I feel, is riding on momentum. And once that momentum fails in the first loss, you're going to be having it's going to be really impressive if they can get it back afterwards. Right.
Yes.
I mean, any last thoughts about the teams or
about the teams? I'm rooting for Team Spirit. I mean, I'm very sympathetic towards PSG LGD because I liked Wings Gaming, and it's cool to see the players rehabilitated because I'm not sure if you're familiar with the story, but they got like kind of prosecuted by the Chinese Dota mafia, not the mafia, but like the governing body. Because they weren't happy with some contract handling. So it's nice to see them getting a second chance and maybe winning it again. But Team Spirit is just, too good of an underdog story to not root for.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, regardless, I'd say I'd probably be happy with PSG OGD winning just because I think they like deserve it with how well they've been playing the entirety of the tournament. But even as I am thinking that I would be happy if they won, I will still be rooting for Team Spirit just because it's a more fun narrative, right?
For sure. It's a super fun narrative. Even more of an underdog story than OG was.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, I think they say it themselves, but they're basically 5 pub stars, right? Like, I think there was an interview with Mira, and he was saying, like, he joined the team early this year, I think, and he had basically no clue how to play professional Dota. And he said his team had to like build him up over the course of 2 months so that he could figure out how to play an actual competitive game.
True. Yeah. I mean, their org is like not a no name, right? Like their org, they're pretty huge in CS:GO. They have good sponsorships. It's not like this just like a pub stack, but I definitely agree with what you're saying. They're still relatively unproven.
Yeah, let me look up their history, actually. Because I want to be sure. I want to see like if they created the stack first before they were signed to Spirit.
Oh, I don't know about that. Let me check here. Probably not, because Mira joined in 2021. So they probably like signed a 5 stack of the 4 players, but somebody different. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is how it worked. They signed the 4 players plus Miroslav, and then they... Oh, wait! Alright, that was just a name change. Damn, Wikipedia.
Oh, I see.
Alright, so apparently they were assigned as a stack.
Yeah, well, I mean, regardless, the way they talk about it is, like, I'm pretty sure Mira said outright that they just play every game like they're playing a pub. And they try not to, like, let the money get to their heads, right? They... I'm pretty sure there's like a quote of them saying like their coach saying like, no, I just wasn't thinking about the fact that there's $1 million riding on this game,
Yeah, I mean, I think the more money is on the line, the more that's gonna,
I mean, obviously, yeah. No, but I'm just saying, like, they're a good team to root for because they feel genuine.
Yes, for sure. They're not in it for the money.
Okay, here's the big question. Do you think there are any, like, hidden strats that have been saved all the way to the final day of TI that we're going to see whipped out?
I mean, I think the Lycan Tiny combo is already pretty, like, insane.
Lycan Tiny
difficult.
Bloodlust, yeah.
Yeah, Jesus, dude, that's so nuts that this exists in our game. I mean, I find it hard to imagine that there's like a more nutty strat than that, but I'm not counting out PSG LGD. As I said, I think they're very good at, tinkering with the constraints of the game and, pushing the limits of like the damage numbers that a hero can achieve.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely agree. I think, obviously we're both excited, right?
Yes.
Do you expect this to go down as more of like a TI4 type finals where OGD just sort of like convincingly 3-0s their opponent and it's kind of unfun in how like clear it is? Or do you think this is going to be like a really close match?
I think regardless of who goes into the final, it's not going to be a 3-0. I think Team Secret, they had they were 20k in the lead against Spirit, against LGD in a game today, which they didn't win, obviously. LGD won in the end, but that's, impressive. Most teams can't do that. And if we're saying that Spirit is even better, Spirit may be able to, push that final 5k net worth that you need to like actually win that game. So I don't think PSG LGD is like unbeatable. They lost 2 games in this whole tournament.
Yeah, out of 24, right? I think.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense if we apply the standard to literally any other team because all other teams have lost way more games. But, I hope you get what I mean.
Yeah, I do. Okay. Well, any last thoughts? Any last words before we close it out?
Thoughts?
And you never show up on this podcast again?
This is just an observation, but one thing I've noticed is that even though the heroes vary, because the available options in which like direction of skill sets a hero can develop has been expanding so much with like shards and eatable eggs and new item choices and stuff like that, it feels like all heroes start out very different, but the longer the game goes, they become more the same. Like
the longer one single game goes?
The longer the game goes, every hero just does everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, that's my take.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. Okay, well, thank you for hopping on, joining me here.
No problem. It was my pleasure.
Do you have anything you'd like to plug?
My podcast, obviously, the We Like Dota podcast, www.welikedota.com. Check us out.
Are you on Twitter?
Yeah.
Do you have a Twitter following?
At Arian_Tahari. Thank you for reminding me. I always forget to plug my Twitter.
Yes, I am not on Twitter, so I have to make sure everybody else can share theirs.
I tweet funny haha and sometimes my articles if you want to read those. They're pretty good, so I would recommend them.
Yeah. We are Fourth Spirit, obviously. You can join us on the Discord at discord.gg/fourth. Support us on Patreon. We've been putting out a lot of content, but there's even more content if you pay us money. We have bonus shows weekly. I have never done the plugs before, so I'm forgetting them all. We have a Twitch. We stream on Twitch. Ursi might be streaming some of his stuff for watching the finals, possibly. I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think he's bringing his PC to Jim's house.
I thought he said he was going to do something special for it, but regardless, follow us on Twitch. I think that's all. Okay.
All right. Cool.
Great. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
No problem.